During COVID, you were pretty strict with the lockdowns here. And there was an interesting piece in Harper's that sort of was critical of your decisions from this perspective. You found a way to allow the motion picture industry and the sort of the movie industry to get back to work, but you didn't allow people to grieve together at funerals or at churches, and that this may be why there's such a polarized disconnect. What you prioritize, right? This is this anger between the populace and the elite, supposedly. Here you prioritize this industry, but you were tougher on those that just wanted to go worship. What do you say to that criticism?
I think there's a lot of humility, and we didn't know what we didn't know, and it was hardly it was we, collectively.
I understand
and
that.
I think all of us, in terms of our collective wisdom, we've evolved. We didn't know what we didn't know. We're experts in hindsight. We're all geniuses.
But think about what you ended up collectively prioritizing. You're prioritizing industry, one specific one, but then didn't prioritize maybe ones whose maybe values you didn't connect with.
I don't think it's a binary. There was iterations within that theme. There was fits and starts. There were regional frameworks that had impacts more broadly defined. There were more industry-specific frameworks. All of us went through a process. I mean, there was few states that didn't go into aggressive lockdowns, including Florida's Ron DeSantis.
No, I understand that, but it was
but within the framework of the
who opened the door. It's what industry got leniency and which ones didn't.
All of it is legitimate in terms of reflection. All of it's legitimate in terms of processing lessons learned. We went through a process. I actually had at Sunnylands, which is the Camp David on the West Coast.
Right.
We brought together experts across the spectrum, people that supported our efforts, people that opposed them, international experts. And we spent 3 days really reflecting, stress testing what we did right, what we did wrong. We're actually putting out a report as it relates to our own lessons learned. I think this country would do well to advance a similar construct, not through the lens or prisms of an ideology, but through
You think there should be almost like a 9/11 commission on what lessons learned from this pandemic?
There's been versions of that, but they're immediately dismissed within the prism of our partisan frame. And so I'm at least trying to work across that and in context of all
What
our
is something you do differently?
Well, I think we would have done everything differently because we understood. We would understand outdoors, as an example. The nature.
You wouldn't have shut schools down. You'd have tried to figure out how to maybe have outdoor classrooms.
No, that's not. Well, now you're getting into But I think the nature of the spread early on, in understanding the epidemiology of that spread, understanding the spread in the context of how it spread very differently indoors than outdoors, is one perfect example of what a lot of us would have done differently, including, again, in states, red states, that shut down their beaches in the early part of the pandemic. I think a deeper understanding around mask and mask wearing and N95s, KN95s, you go through a process across the spectrum in terms of being prepared, issues related to how we fundamentally address the distribution of vaccines and the prioritization. You want to talk about prioritizations early on. In terms of those vaccines, you go through a series of things. And there's so many things we could have done differently.
You think this country can handle another pandemic, or do you think it would break us?
I think we have to. We're a resilient country, so it wouldn't break us. But I'm not convinced we've learned the lessons from the last one. And I think science took a big hit. I think health.
Read the history books of 1918. We're still trying to figure out.
But that's
Pandemics
alarming.
Divide people.
That's alarming. It should be alarming to all of us that all of a sudden health became partisan. And that's something we're going to pay a big price, you're right, going forward. But it won't break us because we're remarkably resilient.